And we're here, not live, again for Rhythm of War, part 4.
I'm alive.
Discussion number 2. All right. And until Manny shuts his trap, I will no longer
Manny.
say live. I'm just joking.
Oh, you mean until Manny helped correct you?
No,
I finally decided to say things correctly.
We are live for us.
Right now.
We are
Moment.
this moment.
As you're watching this, we are not live. We are recorded.
If you're watching it, we are recorded.
But if you were sitting here watching us, we would be live.
But
there is nobody here.
But unfortunately for me, I had to hear that whole thing live.
So, good news though is we are finalizing our discussion on part 4, and we're super excited to get on to part 5 of Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. We want to finish this book to get excited about the next book. Wait 2 years or whatever it's going to take for these things to come out.
But we still
Honestly,
have Mistborn.
I wish
We do.
we could just have an episode where Andrew just reads the part for us. But I don't think that
We'll just react live.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll let us air that.
Yeah. Let us know what you're thinking about us just reacting to the audiobook being read at us.
By Andrew.
But better Andrew, because his voices will be
he's
uniquely
amazing.
hilarious.
And by Andrew, we mean the captain.
Yes.
Yeah, they know that.
Yeah.
So,
If we do that, though, we got to figure out how to get his fan quieter.
that's for sure. So, we're
Oh,
excited.
you mean his actual fan?
Yeah, we are excited though because we talked through the Shadesmar team last episode, and so now in this episode we're gonna get to finalize the discussion on Navani mostly, but also
Kaladin, Taft,
kind of Taft,
the Beebs.
the Beebs,
The Beebs was in concert.
Relane, and
How are you going to yell at us when
and-
you are also making fun of you?
honestly, this arc also we get Venli.
Self-preservation.
We get Venli and all of the past history, and I think by this point we're mostly caught up. It feels like we're pretty close.
Yeah.
Venli kind of even summarized the entire story that we read to
Right.
In book
relate.
2. Or book 1.
All of these, like all
Yeah.
the
1 and 2.
yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool. We'll have to talk about that. as
Yeah,
well.
we do have to talk about that because after hearing people or reading comments and people are like, oh, like I understood her much better after hearing her backstory. I still think she's a stupid bitch.
So we'll have to talk about that. We may even start there, but
you don't
until
understand
then.
her, and you don't understand the
Do we need to do a round circle? Do you guys want to do it to round table and introduce yourselves?
Yeah, we might as well. Since
We'll
we
do the
always
half circle table.
Yeah.
Let's do the round circle
let's
table
go.
circle
We'll
introduction.
just go around twice.
Yeah. We got Josh the Cherry.
The dream.
So Amy, so dreamy. Brett, the director.
Ben the Hitman.
And you guys already know my buffoonery, so we're good. All right, cheers. And we're back. Yes.
Back
No
again to
Randall
the
Flagg, we're
Renegade
just
Master.
back. And let's get into it. And I think we started right before our intro music with Manny Durrani, Eam the Dream, the Eamy So Dreamy, talking a little bit about how he really hates Venli. So let's.
I don't
dive
hate her. I
into
just think
this.
she's a stupid bee.
So tell us more about how you hate her.
Yeah. Explain the hatred.
Yeah, explain the hatred.
I thought that I would be like, I would feel a little bit more compassion towards her or like understand her thought process. But really, getting the backstory just makes me get more aggravated with her.
Yeah.
She's so selfish and so dumb. Like,
I
So
feel like
now
she
that we know
started out that way.
Odium's position on it, what does everybody else feel?
I see where Manny's coming from.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was just led more and more by that Ben
yeah.
to take wrong choices and being
There's no redemption,
I mean, she was
right?
being
Manipulated. You
manipulated, and it is her fault, but it's not as much blame as she takes on for herself.
No, I
that-
think she should take as much blame as she was taking. It is her fault.
So you feel like
Yeah.
she would have made much different choices if she was not.
Under influence
Under
by
influence.
that's
fair.
Ben.
That's
And being like, oh, we'll save the singers and you'll become super powerful among them, a guide among the singers. And
So Spren are basically kind of like liquor. Some people get all happy and better. Other
some
people get
people are,
dark
like,
and
diabolical.
mean.
Even Renoboil.
what?
We got a new one.
That wasn't even what he said. The funny part is that he's trying to make it
I mispronounced the mispronunciation.
Jeff pronounces just as many people wrong as I do. So
by
I
the way-
keep making fun of
By
me.
the way, even
guys, make fun of Josh.
I think he just
Run
gets
'em all.
excited that it's off
even
him for a
Rabinoid,
minute.
even Rabinoid.
He got so excited it was on Josh and he fucked up whatever he said.
Yeah, even Rabinoid said though,
Rabonio for
Rabonio,
listeners.
by the way,
Or
even
Rabinol for all of Cherry's fans.
or
Yeah, thanks,
Rabinoid,
Chris. I didn't know.
if
I didn't get
you're
that.
just wanting to like toy with us. But anyway, she even said that it only brings out your inner. Like it has to be there, but it's still it's going to exemplify something. And Esh and I talked a little bit about how it seemed like she went way off the rocker when she got that storm form, whereas if Venli stayed a little bit more true to it, and Venli questions, like that's probably because I was more like that. And it was not needing to emphasize as much. Maybe she might be undershooting her own abilities to kind of, keep some of that selfish nature contained. But Esh and I, she even said, when she was in the war form in those flashbacks, she was worried about herself going off and like getting too aggressive and making these decisions from a place of not being right, like a place of wrongness in certain things. But she did, in my opinion, she did a good job.
Yeah, she.
Who,
matched
Ashanai
her-
or
Esh and I.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she matched with her war form.
Yeah.
But at the end, we found out that for sure she was bonding with Ben.
Yeah.
And like even then, like when did that happen? Because it was Eshanai who went to Dalinar, it was Adolin, and turned down all negotiations.
Yeah, but she was already
But that was
at that
after
point.
the
She was
storm
already a
form.
storm form.
That's true, but then from that point to the point she's bonded with Ben, and then died.
When before.
Yeah, so we know that at least we can assume that Venli's friend Timber got a little further and then eventually captured the Void Spren in Venli's gem heart. And
But-
Did it?
But
it-
no,
that's what Timber
No, I
said.
think
wait,
Ben,
didn't
what,
she-
but one wants to know is what is the time gap in which Ashana was bonding her Spren and when she was taken over by the
Yeah.
storm?
like I think she
Storm.
got taken over. She had to been because she was in the full grips
She was the
she
first one to be in the
wanted
yeah.
to sue for peace. At
Yes,
that point,
before she was in the
So-
storm form.
the storm form stopped that. But then, sometime during that time, she was able to bond another Spren. 'Cause
Or
it
she was
escaped-
starting to at least.
Well,
It's-
it escaped from her when she died.
Well, I think it might be
And
very
he floated
similar
out.
to Elokar. Like that
Oh.
Spren was following him around for a long time. He was complaining about
And
even
seeing it.
before
yeah.
about seeing it. So I think maybe the problem is like if the Spren identifies you as like a candidate,
It
you
just
still have to
watches you.
say the words. You still have to like make it happen. And so it seems like
Say the words, Jeff. Say the words.
Jesus. You still
Right now, the word is I need to go to the
Yeah.
washroom.
I suspect because Eshonai loved freedom so much and exploration that Spren was probably attracted to her and may even been like Kaladin following her along
For
for a
months.
long time,
Yeah.
without truly making the bond fully connected. And if they had done that, it might have been better because then it might have been able to take over the Void Spren that she eventually put her in her.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the time frame when Eshanai, no, the other one, Venli, she was given a chance to bond a Spren, and then she bonded like two at the same time because her friend died, and she captured that Spren.
Yeah, that was actually her Timber. She did capture it in
Well-
a way. She covered it so that they couldn't
But
see.
See it.
it came
Yeah.
from one of her other friends.
Well,
Right.
it was near his corpse. Or
Yes.
his body. Near the new body, I guess, the possessed body. And
She
so we
captured it
don't
in a bag, like you can't be seen, and
yeah,
get
so we
it.
don't know if it was just following them
Or her.
or her, or it's not clear. You know,
It wasn't following her. She's not worthy of us, Ben. She's so stupid.
Tell me more, man.
So, but yeah, that's a good point, Ben. I don't know that we know. Sorry about that.
So that might
No
not
worries.
even been Timber. That was the one that was trying to bond
Eshonai?
Eshonai.
I don't know. That's a good question. That's something that
And was
I
the one
hope we
that
get
died
at some
her
point.
potential mate form guy,
Yeah.
the one that she had the
Uh,
crush on? I forget his name.
No, they were a legit.
They made it.
Oh, they did
did.
mate.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
whole
Wow,
slave.
chicka wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy that was her like assistant in the the whatever scientist group.
It is kind of sad because in a way I think the story is kind of going to be positively impacted by the fact that Eshonai was the one who didn't make it, and her sister, who's been clearly living in her shadow for her whole life in various ways, is going to have to like rise to the occasion. And what we got is all the past. In the past, she's not worthy. I think she's battling with the fact that she hasn't been worthy yet.
Well,
And
yeah.
so she's trying to become like the bond makes you, become worthy of the words and fill that hole within yourself. And it is a bit sad to think Eshonai might be one of the best, like personality wise, one of the best Willshapers there are, because she wanted that freedom and that exploration and all of this stuff. And she was,
Good.
good.
Like
yeah.
not a loser.
But also we got to keep in mind that the past of Radiance, always the ones that seem to at least be getting up to this third, fourth ideal, they tend to have a rough background of some sort. And
Struggle.
so Venli's
Now.
not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, besides she went crazy when she was a child and was institutionalized for a little bit.
Into what?
They
Institutionalized.
did mention
Oh,
that.
no, but I mean, she's still smart and brilliant. So.
Yeah, but she overcame that past trauma.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll have to see how it all shakes out.
I don't usually see Manny Durand being this judgmental of characters. Usually you're more open-minded. I'm just saying.
No, she's just frustrating.
Something about this girl's rubbing you wrong.
She's just really frustrating. Like I really thought that she was gonna redeem herself, but then even at the end of this chapter, like
Yet.
they tell her,
Yet.
or at the end of this part, they're telling her like, oh, we're gonna go help break out all of the
Radiance, yeah.
And then she's like, how can I use this to my advantage? Or
Yeah.
how can I use this for my own benefit?
She's
Like,
still
she's
there,
such
yeah.
a terrible person.
That'd be like, I mean,
It's kinda
Kaladin
true,
would have
though.
done the same thing. Like,
No,
oh,
he would
they're-
not have.
they're fighting. There's a bunch of infighting between the. There's a bunch of infighting between the Parshendi, or the listeners and the singers, and he's like, You think he wouldn't use that opportunity to try and go help all the Radiants? He wouldn't be like, I'm gonna go help save one of the groups.
No, but
No, he
here's-
wouldn't have.
I feel like
Yes, he
there's a
would've. He
few
would've
points that if Kaladin potentially that if Kaladin didn't have Syl, he would have made choices that could have snowballed him in a different direction. Potentially.
I still think though that this is pretty
Although
rough.
maybe not.
and
Maybe
this
that's
is
why he attracted Syl.
I think this is why she can't say the next words yet. I think she's seeing a smaller picture still. She's
so self-absorbed. She's very short-sighted.
She's like, I'm just gonna start this little village up with my people, and now she
even
tempted
knows
by
it's a bad idea. She's like, you got told this for a reason, you idiot.
exactly. It is a trap for sure. It's a trap.
Like,
and,
she's just not bright.
and
No, I think she might still think that there's a chance that this isn't a trap.
she said she knows for sure that this is like a highly unlikely thing, and I'm just gonna think about that later. I'm just gonna go see them because my
I have
immediate
to see
impulse is to see them. But I think that's it's gonna be part of her growth.
Kind of like Kaladin has to keep going back and seeing his parents,
I think so. Maybe it's
even
gonna
though
be.
it causes war and fighting.
I think it's.
I
gonna,
don't know if you're trying to make a point with Kaladin.
No, but I
it's
think
not
that
working.
Yeah.
she's not making.
Yeah.
She's not
Maybe
making.
he
a
would have
decision.
known you were making a point if you took a victory sip.
But
Oh, you think she's gonna go back like Kaladin does with his mom and dad?
You gotta have the piggy up
Yeah.
for victory. So.
I don't think she's making decisions that are
For his mom and dad.
like Manny, like, oh, short-sighted and stupid. Like, if any of our heroes would have made the exact same decisions, it'd be like, oh, well, I totally understand why. Like,
We give them more the benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
Listen,
I don't think that's the case. I'm
feel
sorry.
Kaladin did make those choices, and
Yeah.
like
Although I feel
I
like we
don't.
did talk shit a little bit on Kaladin when he was making those choices as well.
We talked a lot of shit on Kaladin when he was, and also,
but we still loved him.
Yeah, Venli, I don't dislike
Intent.
her.
It's all about intent.
Yeah, her intent.
Her intent is
That's true.
bad.
Yeah.
His intent is never bad or has not ever.
He may
been
not
bad.
execute it properly, but his intent's always
Correct.
good. Yeah, that's a valid point.
But I see Venli opening slowly. Like I see her acknowledging the faults and trying to gradually improve them. But I agree in the sense with Manny that she's got a long ways to go, and I think that's why Timber.
But what do you
she
mean
might.
by that her intent is bad?
Everything
Like,
that she
it's
does is
selfish.
for her
She's
own
trying
gain.
to go save the.
No,
find the
she's
rest of the
actually
listeners.
going to bring down all
Not trying
hell
to
on
save
them.
She's not trying to save
She
them.
just
She
wants
knows
to
that
see them.
her seeing them is a possibility of destroying them. She even admits to herself that
But
is a possibility.
Kaladin has the exact same thing with going to visit his parents.
No. And it's not even
when
remotely close.
Kaladin kills that fuse in the tower, when his dad's like, "Don't kill them," he's like, "No, I'm just gonna kill them anyways."
And
Even
guess what?
though
He
it-
was right. Because now they're going to experiment on them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no, he's not right.
Yes,
But he didn't know that at that point, just because.
Also,
but that's
the
why-
long
That
term-
endangers his family.
Yeah, we don't need to argue
Oh,
about
my
too
son
much.
was a Windrunner, Kaladin, the Kaladin, and he just killed him and ran away.
Yeah.
And now his family's there.
But it's intent.
His intent was, I gotta save my friend.
Only my friend. Yeah.
No.
Not care about everyone
I gotta
else.
save Tef. I don't care about the,
My family, I don't care about.
the
Yeah.
reactions of what my actions.
But
are
listen though,
cause.
because he's gonna have to save who's in front of him. Venli legitimately wants to see her family for retribution. It's like a guilt thing.
Retribution?
She
What?
wants to be forgiven. She knows what she's done.
No, she's like, I have to get there to help make sure that they are able to survive.
That is absolutely
not
not.
what
She shouldn't be going there. Then. Absolutely
I don't.
not.
I can't. I
She-
unfortunately.
I did
don't
not
know.
get
I
the
missed
sense
this.
out of this that it was, I know this is a trap. She got the senses, could it be a trap? It could be,
Could be.
but I still have to go. And how many times has Kaladin said that exact same thing? Oh, it could be a trap, but I have to try. I have to
Listen,
go.
But it's not a have to go to save them. It's have to
Correct.
go to see them. That's the problem.
How does she know that?
she knows
says
Because
that
what
they're
did they
probably
just talk
getting
about? She
hunted.
just talked to Relaine, and Relaine said, "Perfect. Let's get these guys out of here." And he is just as excited about not being the only listener left. He's actually a more lonely one.
After he heard what she did, was like, holy crap. And I thought I felt bad for being.
I mean, there was
that
even that
person.
point where he was like, if I'm remembering it correctly, there was even that point where he was like, "Oh man, to keep our species going or whatever, I may have to mate with her." And he's like, "Nah, that's going too far." Like, he obviously doesn't have a high opinion of her.
And then the other thing that happened at that moment is when he said that, he said, "Listen, I trust you. You just told me all this. I am still having trouble digesting it, but we can make things right." And she's like, "No,
Okay.
I'm using
Same
it
thing
as
was
a-
what Lyran said to Kaladin.
I don't like Lyran. I think
So I'm just saying, you guys are taking it like,
No.
Kaladin's made all the right decisions, but she's
Kaladin
made
has not made all the
wrong
right decisions.
It's not
and
that
I've
he's
never
made
said
all the
that.
right
But I'm
He's
just
made
telling
terrible.
you that you guys that
From his
she
intent,
is
though-
not being like, I'm making the wrong decision.
No,
She
she
hasn't
is
even
making
thought about it.
selfish
Yeah.
decisions.
She hasn't even thought about it. She is
Consistently.
literally reacting to information. There's no decision.
That's
Kaladin,
Yeah.
he reacted. I gotta save my friend. I don't care about the consequences.
Nope. Exactly. I've got to save my friend.
But he
I've got to
wasn't-
go see them. I don't care about the consequences, even if they all die. Kaladin is like, I have to save
They
him
already-
because I don't know. I can't guarantee his safety outside
Here's
of
the
this.
thing: they already know where the listeners are. So what's her going? They're gonna do.
I'm curious to see what her plan is.
They already.
Yeah, they already know.
She's
luring
She
her
could
there.
go there to help protect
So
them.
I
he
think
could
she
fight
knows
with
she's
them.
bonding something.
Well, yeah.
She's testing this.
She
She
could go
already
down and
get
help them
caught
fight.
using various wrong rhythms
No, she got caught using the wrong rhythm after the note had already been written.
several times before. Eshina,
Yeah.
It's okay that we have a different opinion.
I'm
That's
just
true.
saying.
That's true.
Vibonia already knows where they're at. Her going there it's not going to lead them to them.
She has an idea. She doesn't know the exact.
I'm with,
and how many survive?
I'll leave it at
Then how
this.
does
We can
Rabonio
just
know?
have a different
How does
opinion on this.
Venli know?
Because we got to move on.
Because Rabonio told her.
Yeah.
But she didn't tell her the exact location. She just said they're somewhere in this vicinity.
They're somewhere in this vicinity.
And
maybe she even wants her to find.
She doesn't
them
even
for
know
her.
what like the plan is of those people. Is that all of them, or do they have another sub like group?
She may even just want her to.
Getting
sniff
Venli
them
to
out.
go there is gonna make people want to come and see her.
I want to chime in so bad, but I missed so many details on her storyline.
Here's
I'm
the,
so
the
sad.
point though,
And it's
I,
okay that we disagree.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
totally
it
okay
is.
with
I think it is. It's okay that we
I don't
disagree.
know. I think we need to come to a consensus.
We'll leave it at at this point too. I'm with you guys in the sense that I do believe she's gonna get there, but right now I think she's like not even close, like at all. I think she's got the most that anyone has to kind of come to grips with their own situation. She's actually got the most.
I do agree with the little that I remember of her storyline. I do agree that it felt much different to me than the path that Kaladin took. I agree with Jeff and Manny in the sense that it didn't quite feel like the same growth path to me. But I could be missing.
I feel like we're gonna get
details.
to the point where it's a good thing that she went there and she did it, and you guys will be like, well, it was all for the wrong reason. But that's like the exact reason we just gave for Kaladin being like, he got there and it's all for the good.
This goes into also what we
really
talked.
important though.
This goes into what we talked about last part, not last episode, but last part in part 3 when we were talking about Kaladin and Lyran and how, there's so many things that happen where it's like this could be right or that could be right, and you don't know until after,
Yeah.
And it's not about what was right or what wasn't right. It was about your intent in the first place.
Kaladin's
and Venli's
intent
is selfish.
in the first
Because
place
it's
was
kinda-
selfish because he couldn't survive without Teft. He put family, he put friends, he put all those people at risk because
I
he could not
disagree on
survive.
all
I
of
completely
that.
disagree with all that as well.
Here's
not?
how. Because if I don't know where your body's going, you're my bro. This is the exact situation that we talked about on that very episode. I said, I don't know that I could have let him take you. Lyran is just convinced that it's all going to be okay.
Lyran
I'm
is an
not.
idiot.
So with that exact
But why are
situation,
you
because
not
I remember
Both of them still have a better intent in mind than Venli.
But
which
because I actually remember this scene as opposed to most scenes relatively well. If I believe that we really don't have enough information to know which one of your interpretations of his motivation is correct, though, right? It's just kind of like you interpreted it as like, oh, I can't live without Teft, and you interpreted it as I need to save Teft.
he had to save Teft. He couldn't
Right.
let him go. It was Kaladin.
And why can't Venli have to save her family and those people that
That's not her
that are
intent.
still out there?
Save has not
That's not
entered
in
into
her
any
intent.
equation yet.
How
There's
are
been
you
no
not
save.
saying
They might
that?
be healthy
Read the
and
book
happy.
again.
Listen, they might be healthy,
I need to read
happy,
all four
and
again.
very, very, very lucky to
They
be
might
out of
be.
this war.
Oh, and so Teft might have been completely healthy,
definitely was
completely
not.
But
fine.
the intent there, Kaladin's intent to save him was there. Venli is.
You
I
don't
want to
think
see them.
Venli's not going
No.
to try and save
She
them?
wants to see them. She wants to be venerated and forgiven for what she's done.
Yeah.
That is the intent.
That is, I think,
She may end up saving him, and she will have to come to further realizations to progress as a character, and really accept more of this selfishness and grow beyond it. That is going to be the key. So
Journey
she may
before
go.
destination.
Yeah, she may go to save them, and she may end up saving him, but she is going to have to make decisions that we as readers will start to realize they weren't the selfish reaction. She did decide to save him. Just like she chose to save one person and not Lift. She said Merlane, but not Lift. And this and that, and therefore the words are not working. From this perspective right now, it's just still too selfish.
but I feel like
To me, that almost feels, I could be wrong on this.
Great character development.
But to me, that
Still
almost feels a little bit like some pretty damning evidence in your guys' favor, the fact that the oaths aren't sticking.
They're not.
It feels
sticking.
like
That's the point.
they probably are based a little bit off of that motivation, potentially.
I think we're seeing her have to. She's like in a unique position where she has more knowledge about this, but yet she has to do more character development to innately fall into where the O's will stick.
Mhm.
So like the reason they're not sticking, they are not accepted. She's got to grow more. And that's
so
what
much
we're saying.
racism here because Kaladin, it's all fine with.
No,
I'm just saying that
she's not Cardassian.
That's a good. Andrew's making this argument. I'm just saying
It's
there's
not
a different.
racism.
There's a different,
We love.
I love her.
Eshonai or Eshonai. We love her.
Eshonai is amazing. Yeah.
Like that's not racism.
but there's a different. I feel like there's a different kind of like pedestal you're putting like each of the characters up
First of all,
against.
we've talked, and you have countless amounts of hours of us berating Kaladin for the way he's acting and his decisions, and I feel like in this case we're allowed to do the same to Venli. And Venli also, I feel like, is coming from a position of more of a villain than any other character. Whereas if the other characters, they may not have made the best decisions, but at heart they were not villains. She legitimately was kind of that greedy villain for a while, and she's growing into becoming a good person. She is.
Even for all that stuff, I never saw it as a villain. I saw it's been manipulated, led down a path that
You're seeing her as a
ambition.
victim.
She had ambition. She wanted to stand up for her sister, and Sven just inflamed that, and I feel it just like smothered her other stuff. She even had that chapter.
That's fine.
Like,
I can't acknowledge that.
She had that other chapter. It was like, I had my love for my father and my mother.
And I stopped
what
feeling
happened?
them.
I don't feel that anymore.
That's how she knew
Because-
Odium was lying to her.
Well, that and how he suppressed those other emotions, and only those emotions showed through.
Right.
And that led her down that
Yeah.
path. And eventually she was able to show enough spirit that she was able to break free.
Right.
And now she's healing, or trying to heal,
She's trying to
heal
heal,
herself
yeah.
into this new direction.
Well, and I also feel that there's
I agree,
we're
yeah.
getting a different point of view, that we get all this stuff from Kaladin where it's like, oh, him running out and killing singers is totally fine. But all of a sudden that it's
He
like...
questioned that immediately.
Oh, he did question it, but so does Venli, and Venli has the same thing.
She did
where
not
she's-
question that.
She did not question
Are
it at
you
all.
kidding me?
She
How many
was
times did she
immediately-
sit there staring at the people running to her and being like, wow, they're fighting like so well? Exact
Dude,
same mindset Kaladin had. And is like, but why do we...
She never fought into that part.
She was never in war. What she didn't question is her, like, she didn't... So Kaladin, he was questioning, is it right to protect people when I'm killing people that might be innocent?
Yeah.
Immediately, he was doing that. Immediately. Venli was literally like, I'm going to go beat my sister. I'm going to get more power.
Well,
I'm going to get more
that-
respect.
No, I'm saying after...
Even
Also,
before
this-
the...
Callan was already bonded to an honest friend, so that's his whole persona.
And I believe,
Venli
that's
was
why I
not
believe she's
yet-
working from behind. She's coming from behind. She has more
But
growth.
we never...
She's coming.
We didn't have
and
the
looking
same like thing where
to
I
worship
feel
her.
like when you guys talk about Venli, where it's like, oh no, she's just all doing this so stupidly for selfish reasons, and she's not doing it right. She's being such an idiot. Whereas like when we did the same thing with Kaladin, it was like, oh no, like okay, this hurts, but like I get why he's doing it.
That was not quite so easy on Kaladin. And so we'll stop the
move on to the
conversation
next
here. Yeah, we'll
character.
move on. But
I will say that
you can comment and let us know what you think.
I will say that the discussion feels very Sanderson appropriate.
Yeah,
because
it
you,
does.
You
It
literally like. There's really no.
Right answer.
There's no like
your
right answer.
interpretation.
It's interpretation of, and it's more clearly drawn because it's literally written right there, and we can understand their thought process better than you can just talking to somebody in the real world. It just goes to show like how exact same things can be interpreted so different by different people.
I agree.
It's such a Sanderson theme.
It's not what it said, it's how it said.
It's how it's said.
So and obviously we know she's going to be a key factor. She is going to grow to be, I think by the end, at least of this book, if she survives longer, then great.
If she doesn't survive, that's also great.
But I do think she's going to get there.
Why?
And I think I would like to draw a comparison because, like Adolin was saying to Shallan, the fact that you were putting up with this and carrying this extra weight the whole time, who's the stronger one? Like, who's the question? And I think in the end, because Venli was battling more selfishness and more of those kind of like interpersonality things, and yet still finding a way to come to the good side, that she might end up being the best of all of them because of the weight that she carries behind. I think that's designed specifically. So I do think it is okay for us to still feel that way about Venli. Let's just see where she goes with it. And if you don't feel that way about her, like Josh doesn't yet, then that's good too. We'll find out. We
It's not that
will.
he doesn't yet, it's just that he doesn't, period.
What? I put words in my mouth.
Yeah.
I left Ben out of this one. I was like,
let's just move on.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That sounds like an attack.
It was. Manny was just trolling you hardcore. Manny was just trolling you hardcore.
I like how people. Never mind. People in the podcast won't be able to appreciate it, but the video, it was really interesting how Josh was like licking through the book, and he's like, "Wow, that felt like an attack."
Yeah.
It was so proper.
I did leave Ben out of it specifically because I have to like let him explore those more because I heard his opinion, but I didn't want to. I know where Josh stands on it. I kind of know where Ben stands on it. I definitely know where Manny stands on it.
Yeah.
How would you know? I'm troubled
And
by
nobody knows where I stand
No,
on it.
you're just like, I don't know. So,
I have no idea.
yeah.
I'm just spreading like honest opinion how I feel about her right now.
Right now, yeah.
Like she's
Yeah,
not redeeming herself.
You're not saying that she's a lost cause, that she won't have growth in the future. You're just
Yeah.
not on board with.
Right now,
Right
the
now.
way that her character is and what her past has been like and what development there has been with her. Blah.
Blah.
We got it. We're moving on.
Yeah,
So,
we got a lot in this section outside of Shadesmar to talk about.
I'm gonna have one
Navani.
of your hazes, by the way.
Well, she's not in Shadesmar.
So
Outside of Shades.
the one thing that we get with Venli specifically though is she had an opportunity.
Wait, I thought we were moving off Venli.
We're moving off of whether we hate Venli or not. No, we're moving off of whether we hate or like or
And that transition just went away.
yeah. No, we're moving on. We're moving on to some of the more factors in Venli's growth because she gets an opportunity in this section to legitimately practice, and she does something pretty cool. So she's able to practice with Stormlight, but not Stormlight. She uses Void Light and even talks about fusing some Cultivation Light in there. Or what was-
Lifeline.
Life Light, that's right. So that whole scene was crazy because I
crazy.
started to get this idea that these powers are all natural to Roshar now, and it's almost like the boundaries are going away. So when is it that Kaladin is going to embrace a little Void Light or a little Cultivation Light?
Right.
Oh man, I thought it was so cool.
You know-
I think it was this part where they explained how the singers, these not bonded to spend, but they could like talk to spend, and they just built the cities by singing and like creating the weapons and
Yeah.
cities.
The whole didn't they
make
kind
that
of
stuff, the shadow planes. the
Yeah.
whole-
Did they
Wasn't
not
that the last part where she was learning how to mold
Yeah.
with the rock?
Yeah.
And they talked about building, like that's how they used to build
I can't remember if
cities
it
and
was
stuff.
this part or the last part.
And didn't they say, Ben, in that section, do you remember, did they say, like, the whole, even Irithiru was built, like, molded out of the mountain, and
Yeah.
it still remembers being the mountain, right?
Hmm.
So that's Stone Wards and Willshapers that can use that particular ability. I have a question for you guys. And I, Josh, you've done some research on the Stone Wards a little bit because your test landed you in Stone Ward realm. But do you think, as a group, do you think that the will shaping and Stone Ward ability to meld stone is only for stone, or can it be used for other things? Like I always had this imagine that you could also like do the same thing to water, like pull a blade out of water. Not that you would need it because you have a shard, but you know what I mean, like
Shape a tree into like a wall.
yeah, or like how in Wheel of Time they would sing trees. The Ogier would sing trees. What do you guys think?
I don't know.
Really?
At this point, I think it's just stone for stone shapers. I think for the singers, they could find a song for whatever they
Anything.
needed and they could shape it how they wanted.
Do you think that because they know the natural rhythms that they're going to be better at those kind of like
It seemed like the spin when she talked to the stone was much more friendly to her than it was to either
Like a
Yasna
human.
or Shalan.
yeah. What do you think, Manny?
And it's like I blacked that section.
No. I thought it
Blinded
was
by rage.
Man, it was reading like this. It was one of the most beautiful sequences where Venli was describing the different powers, and then Manny was just so blinded by rage. He's like, "I just hate Venli so much, I can't even read this chapter."
No, I think eventually it would be other things other than stone, because she's speaking to Roshar or parts of it. So I can't imagine that it would be just that one individual thing.
I have a secret desire for it to be like other things.
Yeah.
Like, just because I think
I guess maybe it
so
could be
cool.
because you have wind runners that kind of work with the wind, and they use the wind to fly. So stone wards would use stone. I don't know.
But Willshapers.
Willshapers, I would say that too. I don't know where that falls in.
Yeah, is like only stone still, or is it like? I want a Willshape. Like I think it would just be cool. I'd be like, oh, don't worry. Let me just turn this this water into a glass, and then pour a beer into it.
Yeah.
I was thinking of so many cool
and
things.
then turn this water into wine.
I
And essentially, if anyone tells me what I had today, water.
but I don't think you could change the element. I think you could. It sounds to me like the way that the power is, you could only change like the
form,
texture and form of that element. So like stone will be stone, water will be water, but you could, well, maybe water could be ice, but it couldn't be
maybe
wine.
some sparkling water.
Unless I had Yasna's ability to turn something into something else.
Are we talking about Full Metal Alchemist now?
All right. So Josh, what do you think stone ward though?
Stone ward or Willshaper?
No. What do you? Or yeah, both. Do you think that they're the same power?
Difference.
Do you think that there'll be different powers? They can both manipulate the mountain, but can they? So you think?
I think Willshapers, yes, could probably change whatever they wanted into a different form. Like they could make a wall out of a door out of a wall, but the stone ward could do that too. But the Willshaper could change out of anything.
Okay. So like I could turn. I'll take some water. Let's say I was take some water, and I'm like, I really need a ladder, and I could build essentially a ladder out of the water.
I think you can make like an ice ladder out of it.
Okay. Because it's condensing the atoms.
Changing the form of the water, but I couldn't make it into like a wood ladder.
No, I couldn't make it wood because that would be Yasna's ability.
Yeah.
Okay. Or Shallan's in that case. Okay. I did think that was really cool though. I feel like more and more that we get Navani scenes and Venli's, it's becoming very clear that this situation with Odium is a bummer, but the light
A bummer, guys.
for everybody.
Yeah.
For everybody, but the light is
What? The world might end? Man, that's a bummer.
That is a bummer.
they still want to fight for
Bummer.
him. They still want to fight for him. So there's something there, but the light and the power, it's all becoming kind of it's like you're finding more and more that it's kind of all accepted.
Right.
And so if you are like Venli, you could use multiple types of power. If you're like Lift, apparently you can at least use life light, but can you use Stormlight? Could Kaladin or Teft or Lift try to start using other types of source energy as well? And will that be the secret to their eventual success? And I don't know that they'll take the tower back, truthfully, but at least try to save as many radiants as they can from the abysmal tests that are about to be run on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just curious. I think it's gotta happen. I think.
Yeah, we'll find out. But we should talk about not Yasna.
Navani.
Old Yasna.
All right, Navani. So I don't know if you guys remember this, but there's a clip in book 1 where the assassin-driven monk, who's trying to seduce
jam guy?
Shallan. Yeah, the jam guy. He was telling
Capsule.
Capsule. Yeah.
Capsule was making an argument about how the cities are designed in various radial wave
And the
lengths,
sound wave.
and how sounds were doing specific things, and he was using his instrument to like show how that was working. It's actually how Navani found the opposite to the light, realizing that they had a rhythm in the inverse relationship. And
Well, she found out initially about the whole thingy from somebody else.
Well, they brought it in and
the other city.
Yeah, what is the other city?
I don't know.
Ishar?
It was the one with the Queen Venli.
Yeah. I don't remember what they are.
Yeah.
They're
The
Thalen.
Phelan?
Were they Thalen?
Phelan, maybe?
Yeah,
I
but
forgot
they had
the
the
name of
tuning
that.
forks.
Yeah, the
and
tuning
they
forks.
could tune this drink.
And
Like
then
I could hit
transfer-
just drink and it just fill my drink.
Yeah,
Like,
they do
Stormlight. And then she took that and she was able to
Do
find
an
out.
example. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and so she just took that and kept expanding it a lot until she got to the end of this part.
I think we need a random flag break.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
You have to do it though, Brett.
And Randall Flag.
It worked. Okay. So we were just talking about Navani. We were just starting to. Ben, you were leaving us off.
We're talking about the music.
Yasna.
Oh yeah,
The music. Yeah. Yasna music, the beginning of the book where Shallan...
It's Navani, not really
Navani.
Yasna, but that's okay.
Yeah. But she went into straight research mode, and like in the last part, she was like, "I don't understand how researchers can be so messy and unorganized." And then in this part, she's like, "I don't give a shit about anything about my notes," and she's just so even organized, but disorganized organization. And I felt she like truly became a scholar in this part. Like she became finally what she always wanted to be, even if it did not quite lead to what she wanted.
I'm still super curious about how, this whole relationship with Galavar is going to come back to fruition, because he clearly had a way to get information that was like way beyond, whether it was like hooking up with Harold and getting information this way, or being connected with somebody, but he really, really dissed her abilities.
Yeah.
Which right now you're kind of like, why?
Why?
Yeah.
She is like out of control.
Yeah,
Kick-ass.
it makes me really wonder. Like, so I'm pretty sure he never went to another planet. He didn't get the opposite void light.
Okay.
He made it like Navani did.
You think he made it?
Well, not him per se. What
Somebody.
the Sons of Anna.
Okay.
So someone in that group also, I feel like, is maybe still around, and is able to create that.
Well, what do you
don't
think?
know what happened.
I know the Sons
Or
of.
how
So
he got it.
you bring up an awesome point, Ben. I'm curious to hear what your opinion is on this. I almost wish we had the captain here, because we were like laughing off.
I do
the
wish
Sons
we
of
had
Honor.
him here.
I know. We were laughing off the Sons of Honor, and like it's kind of being like just like you remember, like
The way Ben said it made it sound like you said it sarcastic.
It's like I almost wish we had Andrew here.
I do.
I do wish we had him here. I guess I'm just a better friend.
Did you notice how I did not even catch on that? I just kept.
He just kept going.
But
I was like, my passive aggressiveness was, I'm not even gonna admit that happened.
Or I just don't
Acknowledge it.
He's so petty.
Tom Petty.
Tom Petty.
So I'm curious though, because we were talking so much about how they were kind of like, oh, as it turns out, they were just a garbage organization. Then we find out that one of the Heralds Collect started them.
Yeah.
And so now I'm starting to realize, like, oh no, the members might have been just very misinformed, and that organization clearly had a very, very different
Foundation.
maybe goal and foundation. And so, I'm curious to see what that is, because I don't think we know it yet. It has to do something with Collect finding a way to get out of the planet. Like, it's got to be he started it to bring in information and try to find a way off the rock, off of the system that Braze and Roshar and what was the third planet?
Yeah,
The Trinqueline Halls, right?
Trinqueline Halls
Trinqueline
planet.
Halls,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't remember.
But we
what
don't
that
know
is.
how much information they were able to obtain. And we found out in this chapter or part that they were able, in the first book, we just got to the level of technology almost of finding the anti-void light. And now they're going to find the anti-stormlight in the next part.
That's actually, Navani was doing so good in her situation. I felt like trying to hide, it's really hard, by the way, to hide those inventions from
Rabonio.
Yeah, Rabonio, because she's just so good. But it's like she was trying her best, but it just sucks that in the end it's kind of like, oh, I invented the nuke, and oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she
here's
took
the
that
key, you know.
leap that, oh, I can't hide it. I almost have to trust her. And that her goal was to kill Odium, and it turned out that it
Yeah.
was not.
It's just
Yeah.
like, you know, whenever a huge new invention comes out or something like that, like people always have one intention for it, but it always could be used however other people want to use
Mm-hmm.
it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's crazy? It was like the most premier dark side manipulation ever of
Oh, for
like
sure.
a good side scientist. Mixed respect and this and just it was so
I mean,
well manipulated.
That scene at the end was so... There's so many levels. Because Navani was like, I'm going to leave this room, and I'm going to bet she's going to kill herself with the void light. And it almost worked.
Almost, yeah.
And then-
brilliant.
Yeah. And then she was like,
If only it was Yasna.
she
It
got
would've
the
worked.
other level when she came back and killed her daughter to set her free finally. And as far as we know, that's a permadeath. She's finally not gonna be reborn
Mm-hmm.
anymore. And I felt like at that scene, Navani was like, "Oh, I understand this. Like, this happened when my son died. These aren't the acts of monsters. How many
They're acts of
mothers
a
have been in
mother."
the same
Mhm.
spot as her?" And she was like, "I'm gonna team up with them," and that was a tipping point to really team up. And then she was betrayed again.
Yeah. It's crazy too because you could tell. Remember when we were talking about what are her true motives? Because back when she got in trouble the first time, she like released that virus that killed a lot of humans and a lot of her
The
own
singers,
side.
Yeah.
In the end, I think that she really just wants both sides to have true death weapons.
Because, I thought for the longest time, I thought she just wanted to kill everybody.
I think
Like,
in a
just
way,
destroy.
kind of, she
But-
just wants to make it not respawning at
Yeah.
chapter 1. I think
But-
she's like, it's done.
I
Have
felt
some consequences.
She
in
wants
this
to put it
chapter,
on
she
hard mode.
Was like, maybe she wants... She doesn't want to kill everyone. She just wants to end the war.
She does.
And she's going to do it for her side first.
Right.
And so she wasn't
She was
like,
always
quite
up-
as crazy.
She was always honest about that.
Well-
Although I agree, though, I thought maybe she wanted to nix Odium. Just
Mixodium, destroy both sides. Like, I didn't know where she was coming from. And now we find out where
But she
she's coming
pretty much
from.
blatantly told us in this time, like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not going to make anything that's going to be strong enough to kill Odium. But, haha.
yeah, that's exactly what she said. So, man. So, I have a question.
Just kidding.
What do you think about so Teft is clearly maybe not quite as close to Kaladin as swearing the fourth ideal, but close-ish. That he's able to
Stay awake.
yeah,
Awake.
well no wake up after Lift gets there. Oh, that was awesome, by the way. Yeah, it was. But you know, depending on how many ideals you've sworn, you're closer to staying awake. And I'm kind of curious to see if Teft or Kaladin swears the fourth ideal first.
I think. Go ahead, finish.
That's
I think Teft.
I was gonna say the same thing. I feel
Yeah.
like Teft is closer at this point.
Mm-hmm.
he certainly seems to be getting it.
I think
Coming.
Kaladin's still got some baggage in there that's going to keep him from it for a little bit longer than we hope.
Yeah.
You know,
He's got some bagage.
bagage.
Yeah. Did we talk about what the fourth idea was gonna be?
We did.
We did a little
And
bit.
Did we get a peek at what it was gonna be in this?
No, I
Well,
don't
we
think
kind of
so.
we kind of speculated that it might be a little bit personalized for each
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And
I'm always protecting
Yeah.
myself or something like that.
yeah. I think that would be. I mean, even if that's not the fourth ideal, that's what it should be for Kaladin because
Well,
he
for
seems
Teft,
to
it
be in
kinda
desperate need
was.
of that.
His second one was kind of like that because he was like, "I'll protect the one I hate most, even if it's me."
Which,
kind of
yeah,
thing,
true,
or whatever
true,
that
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Similar to that, right? So I just don't know. I kind of really hope in this fifth part we get Kaladin to come to fruition here, so that in the fifth book, because I feel like this is so much setup.
Yeah.
God, the fifth book is going to be like 100%
All right.
go.
Like
Let's
the
do-
fifth book could be the entire climax.
It might be. It's just like,
Like,
let's
holy
let's
cow.
do
ending.
let's do. I'm gonna do a solid Brett bet. All right. So
That
will
sounds solid.
Kaladin reach fourth ideal
Can we do a semi-solid Brett back?
at end of book 4?
Oh, is he even in book 4?
Oh, that's a good fucking point.
Oh no!
You mean part 5? Are you talking about part 5?
Part 5 of book 4.
I mean,
yeah.
my bad.
Oh. I was confused. I was like, wait, what?
Well, the Radiance. He was only in as the Radiance, right, Josh?
Well, they never said
It doesn't. Yeah, it
Caitlin,
doesn't
they said the
specifically say
Radiance.
Yeah.
who.
Yeah.
Oh, he's tricky.
So
I'm gonna say no either way.
Oh, shit.
Even if he's in part 5, I don't think he's gonna reach the next ideal in this book.
Kaladin won't. So you're saying
Kaladin,
what was Brett bet exactly? What did you
will Kaladin reach the fourth ideal by the end of book 4?
got you?
What's the people in this part?
So the parts that the people listed is the Night Radiant, Navani, Bridge 4,
Dang.
Taravangian,
Time
Veer,
restricted.
Lesian, and Wit.
I mean, he's part of Bridge 4, so he
I'm
could be
gonna
there
say yes.
All right, Ben's
I mean,
a
it could
no.
also be someone else's point
Yeah.
of view of him.
That's only
getting
what
it.
I desire.
Jeff.
I'm
Yes.
almost ready for mango sorbet.
Yes. Manny. Josh.
I'm gonna say no. I was a little disappointed when not disappointed when Teft woke up, but I was super excited when Teft woke up. But I was disappointed that we found out that it was Lift that woke him up, and not
Oh,
him.
versus him like
Because
coming
like the
to-
kind of the hint
Oh.
like, oh, he's like so close, he's like moving and he's like twitching, and I almost wanted him to be like actually coming out on his own. But they even explain now that he can only stay up for like a certain
10
amount of hours or
hours,
something
before he falls
till
under.
Lift has to keep him up, which was a
Do
bit
you think that
disappointing.
has to do with
Oh,
the
don't worry.
lifeline, right?
Tough will come out eventually.
Yeah.
Do you think that has to do with the lifelight? I think that's the lifelight. It's just
okay.
like the one of the lights that's not being compressed right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so he's been essentially healed out of it, but because he's so close to the fourth ideal, he's like more capable of absorbing and like
Uh-huh.
being cognizant.
All right. Manny.
Manny.
Yes.
Yes, he will.
Yeah,
So
I think
am
this
the
book
only
is
no?
going to end crazy.
No, Josh is with you
Oh.
on the no.
Josh.
I'm gonna go
Bridge
with
4.
Whoa. Brett's
Man,
trying
there's-
to figure it out now.
You guys are Wonder Woman.
This is so tough because there's
Good story elements either way.
yes. It's really
That's why
good
he's so-
storytelling either way, and Sanderson is really good at just prolonging our pain of seeing these characters change.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just this book.
It's just this book. By the end of this book.
I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
Because
So
there's hope for next book, but I don't.
I think I'm gonna go with the.
Here's the majority. You're the deciding majority.
I'm gonna go with the nose.
Ah!
I'm gonna go with the nose. Mainly just because Manny said yes.
Throwing some
Shit,
shade.
Manny's on my side.
I feel like statistically speaking, if I don't know, it's a good way
Oh,
to
I didn't
go.
know I was in Shadesmar.
we do have to admit that when you go back and rewatch the Brett Bed episodes,
I know he does much
Manny
better with the
started
Brett
off
bets than
like,
we realized.
Oh, and then you're like, oh, actually, Manny's doing
So
really
now,
well.
this
But
is
it's still a
Manny's
fun-
hotspot.
it's still a fun
In the second
meme.
half of the book, he gets all his.
Yeah, he gets.
like-
Oh, that's
Whereas
a good.
if
That's
Ben,
a good point.
Ben tends to get everything in the beginning.
It's a good
And
point.
then he just falls
Yeah.
apart.
Manny, how confident are you with yours? Look in my eyes and tell me.
Yes.
That's a no.
I'm gonna go with no.
Jeez Louise. So,
Dick.
you know what's interesting about reading this entire section? It was all essentially flashbacks, which from Venli or Navani chapters, and the entire time, except for one scene, which we have to talk about deeply right now, Kaladin is in a coma, essentially. But a different kind of a coma than the radiant coma that maybe the rest are. But a few things happen. He's deeply injured, highly infected, fevering, wounded. He cannot find Syl because they can't find each other when they're not close to each other, and they got separated. And so Syl is nowhere to be seen, but the bond is still there because they tested that. And also, because of Moash, that bastard,
Yeah, Moash.
he is kind of being continuously tortured in his dreams by Odium.
What a dick.
But we get to see a scene
No, I think that's something we can all agree with.
with Wit and a story about a dog who wants to become a
Moash
dragon.
is astray.
And that story was really interesting because every time that Wit tells a story to
Dude.
Kaladin,
This scene was so good.
it was very good.
I loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I do love though how it's always like Kaladin makes the assumption, I was the dog. You're trying to tell me this.
Yeah.
And he's like, I told you.
I started off saying this has no purpose.
And it's just a story.
And I do have to say, I feel like there's moments in this in these series where Sanderson chooses Wit to literally say what he wants to say to everybody, which is one, don't tell people how to think, give them things to think on. That was in book 1. And now, not everything has to have a purpose. Sometimes you just tell a good story.
So what he's saying, you have a bet that Wet is an insert of Brandon Sanderson.
I'm not saying that,
He's one of Stephen King.
but at times it feels like he's just like, okay, this is what Sanderson would say in this instance.
Suddenly in the next book, Brandon Sanderson just writes himself into the book.
Yeah,
I feel like Wit says that there is no meaning to it, but there clearly is.
but
meaning
there
to
was,
it.
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It's like not
was
everything's going
it
to
the
happen the
meaning
way that you intended
that
to.
he wanted to give, or was it just whatever meaning Kaladin can get out of this moment? I wonder that too.
Yeah,
I
feel
think
like
he was definitely...
with what Jeff said, that he wasn't trying. He was like, "I'm telling you, there's no meaning because I'm not trying to impart a meaning on you. You get the meaning out of it."
you get the meaning out of it. Yeah.
He's like, wait, I'm the dog, right? Just like he
Like,
was
if
like,
that's
I'm the
what you-
guy who's running. Like,
Well, instead of
it's
being like, if
eh.
that's what you think, like then it's
Yeah.
you.
It's
but he's
almost-
just like, no, I didn't tell you
Yeah,
that.
right.
It's almost a little bit like the spoiler alert for Matrix. If you haven't seen it, then you should
Oh,
not.
wait, I haven't seen it.
You should not be friends with me.
I guess I'm offensive. But
It's kind of it's kind of like that scene when he goes to see the Oracle, and basically she just keeps like poking at him to figure out what he thinks. Do you think you're the chosen one? And she basically just feeds back to him what he wanted to hear. Like, she wasn't actually oracling. She was telling him what he needed to hear in the moment. And it feels like Wit's got a little bit of that going on in this scene, where it's like, I'm not here to tell you how you're supposed to proceed. I'm just kind of poking to see where you're at right now.
I can say this though, that scene was really cool because Wit was specifically breaking one of the rules,
Yeah.
which would make
what rule?
Intervening.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that
Maybe that's why he had to say, oh, this really has no meaning, right?
I don't know. But he also said basically like, I gotta get out of here soon because
If
he
I
can
stay
whoop
longer,
my
he'll
ass.
see me.
Oh, that's right.
He's like, I'm open to his attack now because I've violated
Odium?
Yeah.
one of the rules. So that's really interesting that Wit has that much knowledge, but also we still don't know the power
That
behind
was-
Wit that sets him to be where he needs
So
to
able
be.
to do it. Like, he just got light weaving,
Yeah.
but he has some other power that's able to invade that dream and protect Kaladin for a short period of time.
He
So
even
does this-
described it as a bubble.
Yeah.
So does this
Piece.
mean then that Wit at some point potentially made his own like version of the Oath Pack? There's like rules, or are these like universal rules of this conflict?
I think the rules have to do with how the
Cosmere.
shards interact.
Okay.
Cosmere.
Yeah.
And so like if you violate, then you're like entitled to certain repercussions,
Right.
which is why they're trying to get Odium to agree to this tournament of champions. But he's got to feel like he's
he's got to feel like he could lose.
No, he's got to feel like he could win.
No, lose.
And-
No, he's got to feel like he's got enough to lose that the tournament
gotcha,
of
gotcha.
champions
Makes
is a
sense.
best.
Gotcha.
And I feel like Navani's discovery of the dagger is what's going to push him into
It's
the
gotta be.
Oh.
Oh, man, it's gotta be.
The
It's-
tournament.
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's gotta be. Now that you
because
say that,
once
oh
those
man.
views start disappearing for good, his army's going to just
Yeah.
just be gone.
Can't bring it back
Yeah, the
anymore.
The singles will want peace.
Yeah.
And hopefully the humans will be.
But at
will
this
be
point,
with
it's
that.
the Radiants are the ones that are going to start disappearing. Which
Well,
will be more for his.
Well,
side,
they
Odium's
have
side.
at this point
They have the void
the
weapon.
void, the anti-void light kills singer. Lady.
Yeah.
Not lady.
Singers.
No, the red
the
people.
fused.
The fused.
What if? Oh, I just saw.
But
You go.
Livonia is gonna make the anti-Stormlight. I feel pretty fast.
Yeah.
They implied it would be very fast, but I just thought of something. What if she can't do it without Navani? So they just made a void killing weapon, and then you think like, oh my god, they have the keys to the car now.
I mean, but Navani made it without Rabonio.
I know that's what I'm saying. What if she can't reproduce the
But
effort?
yeah,
The
like, if you're
effect
thinking
without
about
it.
it, because if you're thinking about it, like Navani did it, and Raboniel's been trying to do it for how many thousand of years, and she hasn't been able to.
Well, she's
But
never tried.
she has the
this.
notebook,
Yeah.
explains how they made the anti-void light. She has to replicate that for anti-Stormlight.
I'm just saying, like, what if it's
But do you
like
think
she can't-
Navani wrote on there like, "Hey,
She actually, in her mind, said she did. She couldn't because she thinks about things.
She had to write it
and she
down.
writes
everything
it,
down.
yeah.
I remember she said that, but I'm like, would she write everything down?
I don't know.
mean, there's that, but I also think Livonia, she gave up, but I think she's smart enough to read the notes and
Figure
create
it out from
the
there.
anti-Stormlight.
But man,
Is
that
it
would be
possible for the next storm to come through and her daughter resurrects and we realize that she didn't accomplish?
It's possible, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like,
yes.
Well,
We don't
I think we'll know
know. She
before the
hasn't-
next storm because she's
yeah.
going to reach out to the people in
She
whatever
said she was
damnation
going to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
confirm that she's there or not.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because it's okay.
She said, "I've got to go."
Because if she's in
communicate."
if she's in damnation, then
It
obviously
was
it
not.
didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have a feeling that it was,
Doesn't
even
it?
if we don't 100% know yet.
Doesn't it feel to me like after 4,000 or 5,000 years of
You're
almost
asking us
insanity,
if something doesn't feel like to you.
Wait,
Mhm.
I want to know what you feel like. Did
So
I say
then
that
wouldn't
weird?
you have said doesn't
Oh,
it feel
yeah.
like?
Thanks for correcting me, Manny. Do it harder. Okay. So
Don't hide behind me. I'm like half your size.
Doesn't it feel like to me?
doesn't it feel like?
Doesn't it? I mean, I don't know.
Let me
Tell us.
I'll tell you how it feels to me, and I want to know how it feels to you. How's that make sense?
Perfect.
So, good. I'm glad that we all understand each other now. So
Wouldn't go that far.
So, what I was gonna say is like, doesn't it feel like, in my opinion, it feels this way. So I'm gonna say it that way. It feels like after a certain amount of time, of immortality next to insanity, torture, and recycling, that true death and this quote unquote beyond could be a blessing. And you live in a world where, you know, there's powers and energy that we don't understand yet. And so I could see her wanting that weapon on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it's enough is enough kind of thing. I'm not sure yet because I always like to think that I might be sane still and finding those like small good things in life that I want to continue to
Yeah, I
enjoy
feel
after
like
4,000 years.
The Spren are made to be internal, so
They don't think
immortal.
that way.
They don't have that problem that the singers have, that after being tortured also for 1,000 years, dying over and over again, they become insane.
Mm.
That for them, it's not natural, just like for humans.
Yeah.
Like they live their life and it's over. Or the Spren
They're more
they're
eternal
made
forces.
to be that force of it for
Okay.
eternity.
Yeah.
That's
It's
good.
it's,
thought, Ben.
it's
They have a
part of
different
them.
perception of
Yeah.
what time is.
Yeah. Clearly they do too.
Because I can say, obviously, we as humans are mortal, and we've talked about this many times where I'm like, I would love to be able to live for a very long time, but the idea of being immortal sounds absolutely terrible to me.
Yeah, I mean, in that, what was that one book we read?
Mistborn.
No,
Lord Ruler.
they had, it was not Brandon Sanderson.
Oh.
The
It was-
the with the knives and the colors and stuff. That
No,
one?
it was not Brandon Sanderson.
That's not Sanderson.
Oh,
it was.
That was Brent Weeks.
No, it's Brent Weeks.
Oh, I thought you were
it
talking about
was-
Warbreaker.
It was a story.
Warbreaker.
That's
Yeah.
another one with the colors. and
They got new bodies, and they had
yeah,
shells.
that was the Brent Weeks.
Oh, yeah, it the sci-fi one.
Yeah, sci-fi.
Oh,
Altered Carbon.
Altered
Yeah, Altered
Carbon.
Carbon.
Gotcha.
Like they deal with that, and they explain. I thought very well. Living so long, you just become separate
You
from the rest of
desensitize.
humanity.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
and humans just aren't really made to understand that length of time.
Mm-hmm.
Or if they are, they're separated. There's not a group of them together
Right.
So it just become pretty much inhuman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they well, anyway, I won't get on that for too long, but yeah.
We
I
can go back
agree.
and watch those
Yeah.
episodes. Sorry, Ben. That was a great comment, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that Ultra Carbon episode, and that actually feels very similar.
Yeah, it does.
surprisingly, sci-fi mode, but yeah.
So I wish I could think of that off my hand, but we got there eventually.
We got there.
Journey before destination.
You know what's crazy is it's almost the longer you live and the more respawns you have, journey before destination doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Just get there.
They just want the destination already,
Yeah.
which is I want to die.
So now those words seem to be more powerful, more important.
Well, this is also kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if they have the same ideals or not, but if there is no destination, there is no journey. If there is no death, there is no life. So you're automatically kind of breaking your oaths.
I don't think they have oaths.
They don't, but
Okay.
but
For everybody that does,
the journey is never ending, and there's no death.
It's just ongoing.
So for them, it's totally different than the.
Whoa, that's actually a humongously amazing contrast that for some reason I never thought about.
Yeah.
Like the void, the fused are legit, like
Opposites.
opposites of
yeah.
the entire first oath. Sorry, Manny, don't make fun of me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Some of us have reactions.
Don't make fun of me. Have you met Manny? Manny, meet Jeff.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. But you know what?
My name's Manny, and I make fun of people.
Somebody stop this guy.
Man.
No, but I don't mind. Honestly, that was a really cool realization that for some reason I didn't have.
Yeah, I never thought about
I love
that until
him.
right now on Brett said.
I'm
it.
not joking. That's why it was so like.
I'm sure Manny got that in the first book, but
I wasn't even saying that.
I'm Joey, and I'm disgusting.
Manny's legitimately, he's like, I don't even read these books for the story. I just look for moments to troll you.
Specifically,
Those are all of his notes. So Jeff's gonna mispronounce this. Remember to make fun of him. All right.
Jeff is gonna mispronounce this, and then he's gonna mispronounce his mispronunciation.
Then I'm going to try to make fun of Josh's mispronunciation and mispronounce that. Yeah, it's true.
Oh gosh, it's like downloading a downloaded copy of a download.
Oh, man.
hope you like pixels.
Jesus. So I do think, though, I was kind of surprised by this entire part just because normally part 3 is in previous Sanderson books was like super epic.
Mm-hmm.
And this was very informational.
Yeah.
And then part 4 is out of control. And again, it was super informational.
Yeah.
So like great information revelations, but very like, I don't know, low key is not the right word exactly,
Oh,
but
it's just more expanding the world, expanding a view on it.
Yeah.
I think part 5 in this book is also going to be in that same vein.
I think so too.
And like there'll be like the last chapter in this part was like, oh my god, it's mind blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there'll be parts like that, but it'll be more. This whole book has been
set up.
I don't think it's going to be
up.
as much big epic battles
Yeah, it's
like
book
we've
3.
seen. Yeah.
The huge battle at the end of book 3.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Two.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And I feel like book 5 is just going to take everything we've had and just be one big ending.
Mm-hmm. I do have to say, I much more appreciate this kind of stuff than all of the action. I like the action and, you know, the fight scenes and stuff like that, but I just really like the information and learning more about the world and learning more about how things work and learning more about people's inner monologue and stuff like that. This book for me is like,
Yeah, I can sit.
very
I
my
like
style.
this book a lot.
Yeah.
But Brandon Sanderson usually has a balance.
A balance,
between
yeah.
the two.
Yeah.
And I feel like
That's not what I thought you were gonna say, Ben. I thought you were gonna say I like it too, but I fucking hate emotion.
I feel like
It gets in the way of doing your work.
he wrote this book and he already has book 5 planned out.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
this, like almost like he wrote them at the same time, and like he knows all the action,
Mhm.
all huge moments are coming in the next book.
And I feel like he's dealt with it, you know, throughout the whole thing. But obviously, we've all picked up on the fact that this is like a very much a book of mental struggles. So I almost feel like he's keeping it in that realm. You know, he's keeping the whole book kind of in the realm of let's get cerebral. Let's not have this be as much external action.
Cerebral, I like that too.
Thank you. A lot of real estate for that thought.
I love it. So I think with this real estate, I'd have those thoughts.
Your skull's too thick, dude.
The more forehead, the more brains. You know? And we have a winner!
Hey guys,
Shine bright like a 5-head.
I got a lot of real estate right here.
So yeah, so I do feel like that has to be most likely a very conscious choice by him, that he wanted to keep this thing that talks about a lot of, you know, mental anguish and people being broken internally, and keep it more cerebral for us too, and maybe a little bit less action potentially.
I also feel like he's gotten to a point where he's like, everyone loves the characters enough where they're not going to give up at this point, so I can throw them through the meat grinder before I turn around and say, like, this is their amazing, like, because, like, every other book, like, ends in the, like, Kaladin did it, whatever, we've been expecting him to do the entire
whole time.
Yeah. Like, this is the one where he's like, you know what,
Except for last book.
That's true, but I feel like...
But down stepped up.
I feel like this is the one where he's like, I think we could probably still end this on a one where no one... Like, it could potentially be a not happy ending and still have a audience to write the next book for. Whereas if you do that in book 1, everyone's like, oh, that was horrible. Like, why do I even come back to that book 2?
There's actually a little part of me that worries that this might still have a bit of an upending potentially, but I am worried about him ending halfway with book 5, with it just being devastating. There's a part of me that feels like book 5 could end really
like
bad.
It's gonna end like the third Mistborn.
Yeah.
And like there was a huge
I hope so.
They had a huge conclusion, and it was a very
nice one.
Happy conclusion.
Yeah. I kind of hope you're right.
But it was also on the feet of like everything.
Like,
a lot of bad stuff.
Collapsed. Like it was right there. Either way.
It could be more
this
like
will be the same.
A whole. I feel like these books are very long, and I actually wish.
What do you think, Manny?
Wait, no, let me get there. They're very, very long. They're very well written. And I do like the idea that you could throw. I agree with Josh. He feels like I could throw these characters through their meat grinder now.
Yeah.
But in my personal opinion, there hasn't been enough balance in these books.
Really?
I would prefer. I love the expansion, but I like the balance with growth. And growth is so far and few between. Grasping, we're getting there. We are, and we just now in part 4.
I think we'll see
getting there, and we might have a huge amount of opened growth in part 5. But
Venli's gonna become our favorite character.
She very well might. I honestly though, I want some growth. I want some clawing or some death. Because I'm
give
getting
me clawing or give me death.
You claw out
Jeff's
to growth.
just sitting there with his thumb.
This is me and my the me that reads a lot of books every year, and I'm like, I love Brandon Sanderson's books. I want it's time. Like, it's been 2 books now. I'm waiting for Kaladin to make the next move. If he can't do it,
dang,
well,
you're like seriously frustrated.
It's time. It's time. It's time. You fucking do it.
Jeff's got
sacrifice yourself for the bigger whole.
Jeff's got blue brain right now.
I agree though, Jeff. I think that a lot of this, I'm just kind of like, I feel like there's one of the things that, like, all the parts of the previous books that I remember where it's like, oh my god, I got shivers because this character just did something amazing. And in this book, I think like the Adolin section with Maya was probably the only section so far in the entire book where I've been like,
oh dude, the Maya part was
also
so fucking good.
The same with Navani when she discovered the anti-void light.
Yeah, but that was so quickly, like, just being like, I felt it was immediate, like within like 30 sentences being like, oh fuck.
But I think besides
well, glad I enjoyed that for 2 minutes.
Not necessarily the whole of finding the anti-void light. I think in terms of character development, like that was huge for Navani because it's just like this whole time she's like, I'm not a scholar, I pretend to be one. I'm not a scholar, I pretend to be one. It's like, you just did fucking impossible shit.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I thought that was huge, and I was like super psyched for that. As the same amount.
I was
maybe a little bit
stoked
less
for Shallan. Like that part was freaking mind blowing for me.
Yeah.
I was actually
Adeline
surprised he even
had
allowed it to
Maya
happen.
talk.
Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
About equal, I think, for me.
I don't want to say like this stuff isn't happening. It's just I'm like
It's just so different than the other books.
yeah. So I'm trying to and by the way, I also I have a tendency as I reread books, like I find different values and meanings in each reread, and what do I appreciate more. In this one though, I know like I'm craving this like hit. And I know Sanderson for good design, maybe even too, right? Because I don't know the fifth book.
We don't know we don't know
I don't know it.
The fifth section even.
I'm very open to it, but in this read through, that's me. I'm like anticipating part 5, and I look at it, and it's like that big, and I'm just like, either oh fuck or oh fuck.
It's still a lot of pages.
It is.
That's still a whole book.
But yeah, I know what you're saying, Jeff. Like, it's
This
your
is the
first read
shortest
through,
part.
and
Yeah.
the expectations.
It is.
Yeah.
And your second time,
But it's still
you probably have
a lot
already
of
read
pages.
book 5, and you come
Carefully.
through
Exactly.
back,
So maybe
accidentally
you
read the last sentence.
Yeah.
of what's happening and make these new connections that aren't there
It's
yet.
180.
So
Shut up.
It's
That's
it's
it?
That's nothing.
it's gonna be a
The
short
first one was 250
burst.
or 260.
Yeah, where I think it's not quite half, but it's it's less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited, but
I'm excited.
at the same time, I'm also ready to be like, and again, we'll almost get there.
Yeah.
Well, part 1 was 280 pages. This one's 180 pages.
So 100 pages less.
Yeah.
Okay.
About a third.
Part 1 was probably the most, maybe.
They have been getting smaller each one.
Yeah,
Roughly.
okay.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited for it. I don't know what to expect anymore, which is why he's awesome.
Yeah.
'Cause, every time I get there, I'm like, this might happen.
Nope.
Nope. Yeah. I feel like what?
Never mind.
Yep.
Just kidding.
Yeah. See you next book.
And I think it is because he really can expand it to where there's a lot of options for good storytelling.
Yeah.
So,
alright.
Have we forgotten to talk about anybody? I feel like we didn't talk about everybody.
I think we got everyone.
Did we get everybody?
I mean, there wasn't a ton of
There wasn't a lot of characters.
we didn't talk about Lift.
Oh.
Uh,
But
So
he's-
only
There's
So
not really much
So
to
Lift
talk
keeps
about.
Teft alive. Is there anything else?
And she revives Kaladin.
She revives
and she eats
Kaladin.
food.
Yeah.
Venli
Like-
saved her. Actually, most of Lift.
Well, Lift's one thing that's I think we might talk about is Lift's Bren's gone,
it is.
which is weird.
Wait, what?
because He
Yeah.
says he's like,
did I miss
I need
that?
to go to figure something. He's like, I need to go investigate.
he left her. while she was
And
in- yeah.
He left her, which is really weird, and I'm wondering if it's something to do with her ability with cultivation.
They're so
but-
bonded because she's
'cause
got her power.
She's definitely still bound, but
Yeah.
it's like Kaladin can't get within like literally like before Silk could go miles away. Now with the powers, like kind of suppressing his powers, she can
Yeah.
only get like hundreds of feet, and all of a sudden like Lift's friend, I forget his Wendell, is just like, I'm gonna go, like just leave.
Yeah.
And she's totally fine without it and like not having any problems.
Yeah, I think the theory is, do you Josh, do you think this is how I interpreted it? I'm curious if you interpret it the same way. They're like with Kaladin, it's almost like he gets too far away and she becomes like a wind sprint again, kind of. And so,
So she can't find her
they're
way
still
back.
bounded. She can't find her way back though. And so they said, Kaladin, you need to go back to where you lost her.
Hmm.
And then you'll like she'll
Well-
come back. But with Wendell, he literally is like, I've got to go and check on something.
The thing I feel like is the tower, when it's corrupted, is made to suppress Stormlight, not Lifelight.
Not Lifelight. Yeah.
So even
But that's such an odd thing that the
Like,
void
so-
light is only affecting the stormlight because it's literally the power runs off of both lifelight and stormlight.
A combination.
no Stormlight and
Lifelight,
And Lifelight. Yeah.
not,
cultivation.
not Voidlight.
Yeah.
No,
he said
stormlight and
lifelike.
lifelight.
Oh,
Yeah.
my bad. So like, her power is more free, and her span is able to go and see whatever.
And
is
she
gonna
can
be.
use the healing, but not the cultivation side, not
the
the Stormlight side.
the Yeah, the awesomeness was the
slick.
slide.
Yeah. The one thing that's
The
really
Awesomeness. I forgot about the awesomeness.
the thing that I think is really interesting is this entire series is based off of like there were two gods, cultivation and honor, and they both built all this, but everything is powered off of Stormlight.
Well, that's what we thought.
Well, but
now-
how often, like, we're finding out that Lift can use Lifelight, and one thing that's interesting is Venli can use Void Light to power those same powers, so we're thinking that they must be interchangeable, but why is there so little Lifelight in the world?
Well, some of the powers that from the Radiance is actually from Lifelight, but they just didn't realize that they were using
No,
cultivation.
I thought.
No.
What's the name? Cultivation.
Cultivation, yeah.
Like she's hiding. She does not show power with anyone besides Lift, and then her
Whoever she
offspring
chooses.
of the tower, the sibling who powered the tower.
Yeah, because it seems like no one, because they said
Because
that, like,
Paladin
it's
still can use
super,
one of his lashings.
but that's only because it's not affected by.
It's pure honor.
It's pure honor, so the Void Light can't counteract it.
Gotcha.
That's why there's 10 and the Void only has 9. And it's
Mm.
the one adhesion, the bonding one
Gotcha,
that they
gotcha.
can use. But we don't know the
But then again,
science
like,
behind that yet.
Lift
I mean,
can
man,
use healing,
Could be right. Yeah.
which is still, that healing must be one that's of,
Cultivation.
well, but also is one that Odium can use. Because Odium's allowed, they heal.
He has
off of it.
9. Yeah.
And
I
he
mean,
must have 9, so the
self-healing?
healing must be.
Oh,
well, no, even
healing.
the ability to heal. That must be one of the 9 surges that
we don't
he
know
has.
though. Well, there are surges
Probably.
though.
He doesn't have the honor
Just the
surge.
gravitation, not gravitation,
Adhesion.
adhesion.
hmm
So
Yeah, he's missing
it's weird
adhesion.
that she can still use, but maybe she's only able to use it because she's using
Touched.
Lifelight. But that's one of the things that's so interesting is that this whole series, you were like, oh, Stormlight must be just the one that powers everything. But no, you can use Void Light, you can use Lifelight, but we
That's
don't.
what we're
Why isn't
finding, yeah.
Lifelight anywhere? Like besides,
Well,
Lift.
only the sibling makes it, but we don't know if Lift can even use Stormlight.
She might not be able
I
to
don't
at
think
all,
we've
yeah.
found that. But that's the thing though, is it's not even just like cultivation makes it because Honor's gone, but Stormlight still exists. Granted, that's made by the shark.
Yeah.
Well, I think-
Storm
I
is-
think that potentially a reason for that might be because honor lives in the hearts of men, and that he's sharded. He's like
Did
split
you just
up
say he
between-
sharded?
Yeah, he sharded all over them, and now his essence is just
But that
stuck
would
in
seem
their
to
hair.
be the same. But they had that same power before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing that they did do is remember the Stormfather even said, "Oh, it exists in the storm." I went back and checked, and it has to come from the storm. Although Dalinar could access it and regenerate with that
Stormlight.
power, Stormlight in
But
places.
it's from Shadesmar. Doesn't the storm
No.
have a connection
Oh.
to Shadesmar?
It does, yeah.
And that's why it's able to pull
But
through. But Shadesmar
It also
values
has
it.
a connection to the third realm that we haven't
Spiritual
talked about,
realm.
The spiritual.
And that's where the link is. But we don't. The crazy thing about this is, I wonder how much Sanderson has thought about how it all links together, or is he figuring it out like us, like kind of as it goes?
Yeah.
I'm really curious about.
I'd be
that.
willing to bet that most of it is pretty well thought out by him.
I think he
Seems
has a
like
pretty
it.
good outline.
It
He's
seems
just
like it,
going
yeah.
into
Well, I
the
also
smaller
think he,
details.
like he
Mhm.
says, he's got his people that sit with him, and I think he's literally like, you do nothing but make sure I don't mess up when I'm talking about Stormlight, and you make sure I mess up nothing when I talk about countries. And he has a specific person that all they do is just make sure there's a continuity with that one thing.
At this point, he's
Mm.
getting to the point where his
Well-
company could probably do that, which is amazing.
Well, 'cause
Yeah,
he said
he
he's-
has a lot of
and if
Dragonsteel,
leaders
yeah.
and
I feel like
Yeah.
we've got a
Biggest.
couple of those
Yeah.
people.
If anyone,
It's
too, well,
true.
too, if you read
Not
any
us.
of the,
I mean our
bases.
viewers.
if you read any of
we
the,
have one or two that are quite knowledgeable.
revisits, some of the revisits are done by his people that help him with it.
Yes.
One of the things
Yeah.
she's like, I think one of the authors in, I think it was either the second or the third book, where she's like, oh, I was in charge of making sure this point, or that there was continuity in this. And so she was talking about how like she had known about this for a while, but didn't
Yeah.
know it ultimately where it would go. And she was so excited when it finally came to fruition in the books. And she was like, oh, I'd known about it, but I hadn't like had the insight to how it was going to play out. So I think that's what he's got, is some of these people. He's like, okay, this is my idea for magic system. You need to make sure nothing messes up here. And he has this person that helps with that, which is awesome.
All right. Anything
I
final, Brett?
do
Okay.
want to talk about one final thing that I remember personally thinking about and finding interesting. Hopefully we don't talk about it for too long because this episode's going long, but I do want to touch really quickly on Liren.
We do need to talk about Liren.
I want to talk about Liren really quickly just because,
and actually his wife.
and you guys can talk about his wife, but there's a specific thing that I want to talk about with Liren, and that's that I personally feel like I'm quite confident in saying now that I think, while I agree with many of the things that Liren says about his aversion to conflict and killing and stuff like that, I think that he's guided by the wrong motivation. I think his intention, as we were talking about before, is wrong, and I think there's actually a part of him that avoids conflict, not because he thinks that it's immoral or incorrect, but because he wants to deflect responsibility for his actions. I think I think he seems to be responding to these things very dogmatically, and very much like Zeth did in the beginning, where it's like, oh, I have to follow my master. It doesn't matter if I'm doing what's right. It doesn't matter if I'm doing what's normal or moral. I have to follow what my master says. He's deflecting the blame for any misdoings of his actions on his ideology. So Zeth had to follow it because it's truthless. Liren has to follow it because it's killingless. And I think there's a part of me that kind of like really in this section started to disagree with the motivations behind Liren's ideology.
Something about Liren that was really interesting is that scene where Liren was almost getting very angry about the people who were putting the Shash brand on their head, the painted Shash brand to he was getting really angry. And then later, Liren's wife was like, I know what Liren's saying, but Kellen's my son, and I'm God's be damned if I'm not helping him try to live somehow.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm doing it. But then there was that other scene where Venli comes in and they talk about it, and there's just like worry. Was it worry spren or some spren like right under Liren immediately, and he's like, I've got to go there. Mm-hmm. He said that like immediately, even though he was gonna try to play it like we'll turn him in or we'll whatever.
Exactly.
So it's still there. Like
I'm not saying that he doesn't care. Not. He doesn't care for Kaladin. I think that he loves and cares for Kaladin.
Excuse for him to get out
I think that he's transferring all sense of the guilt onto this ideology that he's formed in his head. He dogmatically believes that while I agree with him most of the time, he dogmatically believes in this idea of no conflict that I think actually can sometimes be immoral.
Perrin Ibarra would agree with that.
Yeah. I was gonna say I agree with Brett and feel that he's very similar to Zeth in that fact where it feels like Sanderson's trying to take this point of view where like you have some people are like flexible with kind of their morality and how they deal with stuff, but then you have the people that are, and you're like, oh, that can be a bad thing. Like you can't just be like, oh, in this case, this is what needs to be done, but in another case, I don't need to do that. But then you have the opposite end of the spectrum where the people that are like, this is the only way it can be done. And that's that like inflexibility. I think like Liren is that for kind of like, this is how bad, not necessarily how bad, but this is like a viewpoint that people do have that you like, no matter what, you cannot do this, and how it kind of like pigeonholes you in this area where you maybe aren't making always the best decision, but maybe in his mindset, if he's following through with it, he's doing what he should be doing. Like he feels like very much like he should be a high sprint.
Oh my god, I just thought about some crazy Brent bet.
But I think also though, like this is really good. A really good way of him showing how there's just like people that are just too far on the spectrum in one way, where they need to be more so like middle ground. Things shouldn't necessarily always be a certain way. It's going to be situational depending on who's involved, what it's going to do, what is the background behind that decision. It's like there's not going to be a right answer for everything.
Exactly.
Or for everything. Everything is going to be situational, and he's leaning towards the path of like, I need something structured to help me cope with things. Otherwise, I'm gonna have a hard time with it.
Well, I think he's also. I think a lot of people that are ideologically driven don't want to accept the fact that you can be well intended and have all the information and do everything in your power to make the right choice and still make the wrong choice. And I think people get over this by following a set of dogmatic rules rather than looking at every situation individually and accepting the consequences of being wrong. And this at least provides some, like you said, some type of structure.
I did what society I need to do.
Exactly. I followed my rules, so even if it turns out improperly,
it's not my fault.
It's not my fault. Exactly.
I was thinking about this. Wait for Ben.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Okay. So this idea, when Josh was talking, this idea came into my head, and I thought
has Jeff been interrupted that he's so considerate of other people?
I don't know. But I was crazy. Like,
Final breath.
Josh was talking, and I was just like, "What if this scenario comes up?" Right. So, Lyran has to kill somebody to save Kaladin. And he will do it. Or Lyran fails, but Asina kills somebody to do it, and then he has to.
No, you gotta choose one, bro.
Damn it! They're both so good.
Let's go with the first one because I think it's better.
Yeah. I like Lyran.
Lyran has to kill to save Kaladin,
and it happens.
Woo-hoo,
it also has to happen like in somewhere very specific, somewhere like.
Well, and it happens in the doctrine. Is the bet.
I know. I'm just talking about my Hail Marys.
We know what Jeff's bet is.
Because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a moment that Lyran observes through the entire scenario of the observation, and in the end, it's going to have to cut. Like it's probably going to be the chaser, the pursuer, and he's just going to do something, maybe even with a void knife. Who knows? I don't know. I'm getting way out of control here. Let's just say it doesn't happen or not.
Dude,
wait, is it only
I'm loving what you're throwing. I'm fucking loving what you're throwing.
He kills to save Kaladin, or he kills to save someone?
Kills to save Kaladin.
The best like story element has to be. I mean, honestly, it works for his character development if he has to do it ever. But like, what a crazy moment would it be when he's the one who steps in and does it
and
for
becomes
Kaladin.
The monster to save the monster. I like that.
Kind of.
Just come to the realization.
Well, in his ideological mind, you know.
I'm like throwing like way out there a little bit, but man, it would be intense.
You're a yes.
Yeah, I have to be.
Josh.
Even though it's
you
way
don't
out there.
have to be, but
no, I'm gonna say
Josh.
It's a tough one.
I really feel cool to make this a group bet.
Like no.
Oh, okay. Ben?
It could be no too.
Oh.
Huh?
Fuck it. Me?
Yeah.
I was gonna wait. But I feel like as much as he is a important character, he's not a main character, and this choice is not gonna fall on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
That
it's very plausible.
He's just gonna remain that side character.
Yeah.
And just yelling at Kaladin.
Yeah.
All the time.
Manny.
I'm gonna say no as well.
You're gonna say no as well. So I'm gonna go. I believe no, but I'm gonna go with yes, just because I really like it as an idea, and I'm a big.
I believe no, but I'm gonna say yes.
No, but here's.
Yeah, I believe yes.
No,
but I'm gonna say no.
Here's why I believe no, but I'm gonna go. But I'm gonna say yes.
Half is hot.
So this is why I'm gonna go with I believe no, but I'm gonna go with yes. I do believe that there's a possibility that Lyran could potentially be an insert for Sanderson's frustrations with certain members of the religious community, where they are unyieldingly dogmatic about certain things, because I know he's religious.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna say yes because I'm a big fan of Hail Marys. And and since the captain supported me on my last Hail Mary, I think this one has a better chance than mine. So
because my name's Captain.
No, because I got some support with mine.
I thought the same thing.
I'm just
gonna support.
I got some support with mine, so I'm gonna do some support also, and I think this one has a better chance than mine.
Brent actually does support Hail Marys.
I love Hail Marys.
I mean, that scene would be nuts.
Especially creative ones that I'm like, yeah, that sounds
nuts,
cool.
It's a interesting possibility, and it's there. I don't see him being able to kill someone to save Kaladin.
And
so that's why I'm saying no. Like,
yeah,
I think Sanderson could create that scenario.
He could,
could,
but like in everything he laid before, in these past 4 books, that there's not enough there for him to be able to make an impact in that way.
Yeah.
Will she?
And I want to see. I want to finish this book.
Fucking Taravangian over here. If it ends like that, I will relish or not relish the day. I will love the day. I will be happy the day it happens.
And I'll see book 5. I'll see you guys in 2 years when book 5 comes out.
Jeffrey, we'll see.
We will see. We will see.
Yes.
All right, guys. Is there anything else?
I think that's it.
I'm good.
All right, guys.
On to part 5, and
I'm so
holy
excited
shit,
to
we
read
finally
it.
get to finish it.
Woohoo! Cheers!